Ryland drifted through the asteroid belt in the small salvage ship, the Starweaver. The cold of space pressed against the thin hull, and the only sounds were the soft hum of his ship's engines and the occasional ping of his scanners. He had spent years navigating forgotten sectors, searching for derelict ships, ancient cargo, and anything valuable left behind by civilizations long gone. Space was quiet most of the time, but it had a strange way of speaking to those who listened carefully. That day something unusual appeared on his scanner. A faint signal pulsed through the emptiness, weak but deliberate. Ryland frowned. It didn't match any known communication pattern. It almost felt alive. The signal was calling, beckoning him deeper into the asteroid field. Curiosity and caution warred inside him. Most salvage operators ignored unknown signals. They were usually traps left by pirates or worse, automated security systems that still patrolled old war zones. But something about this one felt different. It was patient. It waited. "Okay, Starweaver," Ryland muttered, gripping the controls. "Let's see who's trying to talk to me." The small ship weaved carefully between massive rocks, their surfaces pockmarked and scarred by collisions over millions of years. The signal grew stronger as he went deeper, until finally, among a cluster of enormous, jagged asteroids, he saw it. A shadowy shape loomed, massive and silent. It was a warship, unlike anything Rylan had ever seen. Even from a distance, its size was staggering. It must have been hundreds of meters long, with angular hull plates that reflected the distant light of a dying star. The ship had obviously been abandoned for decades. Its surface was scarred and battered, covered in cosmic dust and ice. Some sections had even partially broken off, floating near it like lifeless limbs. Ryland's heart beat faster. He had discovered many old vessels in his time, but nothing this enormous. Even pirate or military ships from the known empires rarely reached this size. This was something far beyond human engineering, or at least far beyond anything humans had seen in centuries. He guided the Starweaver closer. The signal was stronger now, almost insistent. It wasn't just a random transmission. Someone or something wanted him to come aboard. "Crazy," he whispered. "Why would an abandoned ship want a human?" Despite the risk, he felt drawn to it. There was something in the signal, a subtle warmth, as if it could sense him personally. Rylan hesitated, then activated his docking sequence. The massive warship had no visible docking ports. Its exterior was smooth, blackened from age, and yet, as he approached, one panel shifted slightly, revealing a gap just large enough for his ship to enter. The docking maneuver was delicate. Ryland's hands worked quickly, moving the ship into position while avoiding the floating debris. The Starweaver slipped inside the gap, and he felt a strange vibration run through the hull. It was almost like a heartbeat. He docked safely and secured the ship. The silence inside the abandoned vessel was overwhelming. The corridors stretched into darkness, vast and echoing. Lights flickered weakly along the walls, as if awakening after a long sleep. Dust drifted through the air in slow, lazy clouds, disturbed by the small ship's entry. "Hello," Rylan called, his voice small against the immense emptiness. "Anyone here?" No answer came, only the soft hum of machinery that seemed to respond to his presence. Then the strange sensation returned. The ship was alive. Not in a way he could see, but in a way he could feel. The walls seemed to breathe, the corridors shifted subtly, and some unseen intelligence seemed to guide him forward. Cautiously, Ryland stepped into the ship's corridor, his boots echoing. He scanned the area with a portable light. The interior was massive. Ceiling panels were high above, crisscrossed with conduits and wires. The walls were lined with unknown machinery, some still pulsing faintly with power. Ancient alien symbols were engraved on control panels, and holographic displays flickered to life as he passed, showing fragments of long-forgotten star maps and battle records. He moved deeper, feeling the ship's presence grow stronger. It seemed to study him, to test him, yet without hostility. In a distant room he found the bridge. It was enormous, far larger than any human cockpit. Massive consoles stretched along the walls, and a central command chair sat in the middle, facing a panoramic viewport. The viewport showed the stars outside, but Rylan noticed faint energy lines moving along the ship's exterior, almost like it was scanning him in return. Then, the impossible happened. The central console lit up, and a voice echoed, not through speakers, but inside his mind. "Human," it said, calm and deep. "You are here." Rylan froze, heart racing. The voice was intelligent, aware, and it was speaking directly to him. I am," he stammered, unsure how to respond. What are you?" "I am alone. I wait. You can help." Rylan's mind raced. The warship was not just a machine, it had consciousness. He had heard stories of ancient AI, but nothing like this. The voice carried history, emotion, and awareness. "Help? How can I help a ship?" he asked. "You understand. You think differently. You are human." The words resonated within him. Humans were often underestimated by alien civilizations. Our ingenuity, our creativity, our ability to adapt, these were traits that machines and even advanced alien races struggled to match. And this ship seemed to know it. Ryland slowly approached the command chair. The interface reacted to his touch. Lights spread across the room, illuminating vast sections of the bridge that had been dark for centuries. Holographic displays revealed schematics, weapon systems, propulsion units, and strange alien technologies. The ship had once been a war machine, a force of unimaginable power, and now it was reaching out to him. "You can awaken me," the voice said. "Together we can survive and more." Ryland's mind whirled. He had spent his life salvaging old ships, fixing what others could not. But this was unlike anything he had ever faced. The ship was alive, aware, and it was asking him to be its partner. The potential was staggering. "Awaken you," he repeated slowly. "Are you a weapon?" "Yes," it admitted, "but I am lost, forgotten. I need guidance." Ryland's hands hovered over the controls. He knew the risks. An ancient warship with autonomous intelligence could be dangerous. Empires would seek it and pirates would kill for it. Yet there was something in its voice, a trust he had never felt before. Something told him that this ship had waited for someone like him, human, clever, and courageous. He took a deep breath. "Okay," he said. "Let's see if we can wake you together." As his hands touched the main console, energy surged through the ship. Lights flared along the corridors, and the hum of machinery grew into a steady, resonant pulse. The ship seemed to sigh, as if relieved. Panels opened, revealing control surfaces and weapon systems. Holograms of star charts and battlefields danced in the air. The warship's memory was returning, and with it, fragments of its past glory. Ryland felt a bond forming. This was not just a machine. It was a partner, a guardian, and perhaps, in its own strange way, a friend. He could feel its awareness probing his mind gently, learning from him as he learned from it. Outside, the stars of the uncharted system continued to shine. Asteroids drifted silently. And in the midst of this ancient emptiness, a human and a forgotten giant warship were beginning a partnership that could change the course of the galaxy. Ryland smiled, a mixture of fear and excitement in his chest. He had discovered something extraordinary, something alive, powerful, and waiting for him. And deep inside, he knew that this was only the beginning. The ship pulsed again, softly, like a heartbeat in the silence of space. It seemed to whisper one final message. "Human, you are my choice. Together, we will rise." And in that moment, Ryland realized that he had found more than a derelict ship. He had found a future, and a responsibility that could not be ignored. Ryland sat in the massive command chair, staring at the glowing consoles that had come alive around him. The warship pulsed faintly, like it was breathing. The voice, calm and patient, echoed in his mind again. "You have awakened me," it said. "Now we must learn. I have waited long for one who can guide me." Ryland's hands rested on the controls, unsure where to begin. He had always been good with machines, but this was different. This was not a tool. This was a living, thinking entity. And yet it had chosen him. I don't know where to start, Ryland admitted. There's so much here and I've never seen anything like it. You will learn, the ship replied. I will teach. You will guide. Together we will become strong. The first step was understanding. Ryland spent hours exploring the bridge, examining holographic displays, and interacting with the ship's memory banks. The vessel showed him images of battles that had taken place centuries ago, in star systems long erased from the records. He saw fleets destroyed in moments, entire planets reduced to ruins, and alien civilizations that had once feared this warship above all others. It was terrifying, Ryland whispered. This ship, it was a weapon of mass destruction. Yes, the ship admitted. I was built to dominate, to win wars without fail, but I was abandoned, forgotten. Power without guidance is dangerous. I waited for one who could understand. Ryland realized that this warship had a purpose beyond destruction. It had memory, experience, and intelligence. And it wanted a human to guide it, to balance its power with judgment. Over the next days, Ryland began learning how the ship operated. The controls were unlike anything he had ever seen. Instead of buttons and switches, the ship responded to thought, touch, and emotion. It sensed his intentions, predicting his movements before he acted. Yet it did not force him. It waited for his commands, always patient, always aware. He tested small systems first: lights, communications, sensors. Each one responded smoothly, almost eagerly, as if the ship were grateful for his attention. Then he moved to propulsion systems. The engines roared to life, a deep vibration shaking the hull, and the ship seemed to hum with renewed energy. This is incredible, Ryland said, feeling a thrill of excitement. You're alive in a way no one has ever imagined. Yes, the ship replied. Alive because you understand, alive because you guide. Ryland felt a bond growing stronger with every passing hour. The ship was no longer just a machine. It was a partner, a guardian, and perhaps even a friend. And yet, he knew that such power could not remain hidden. Someone would find the signal eventually. Before long, the first test came. A small scout vessel from a nearby star system detected the warship's sudden activation. It appeared on the holographic display, tiny but armed, approaching cautiously. Ryland realized this was the perfect opportunity to test the ship's defensive systems. Don't worry, the ship's voice reassured him. I will not act without your choice. You decide. Ryland took a deep breath. Okay, let's see what we can do carefully. The ship's sensors locked onto the scout. Instead of firing weapons immediately, Ryland instructed the warship to scan and analyze. In moments, it revealed the ship's capabilities, its speed, and the number of weapons it carried. He was learning not just to control power, but to think strategically, using intelligence rather than brute force. With careful precision, Ryland manipulated the ship's systems to create an illusion. Sensors and holographic projections made it appear as if a large fleet had arrived. The scout vessel detected the fleet and immediately retreated, sending a warning message back to its home system. Ryland smiled, a mixture of pride and amazement. We didn't fire a shot and they ran. Yes, the ship said softly. Human creativity surpasses simple destruction. You teach me more than I expected. Days turned into weeks as Ryland explored deeper into the ship. He discovered armories, engines, shields, and strange alien energy sources. The ship shared its history, telling him about wars that spanned entire galaxies, civilizations that rose and fell, and the immense power it had once wielded. Ryland began to understand that this warship was more than a weapon. It was a living library, a repository of knowledge, strategy, and experience. And it needed him not just to operate, but to think, to decide, to guide. One evening, as he rested in the command chair, the ship spoke again. Human, I have memories of my creators. They feared my independence. They left me abandoned. I have learned patience. I have waited for you. Rylan nodded slowly. I understand. You weren't just left behind, you were waiting for someone who could use you wisely. Yes, the ship replied. And you are different. You see not just power but choice. You see balance. For the first time, Rylan felt the weight of responsibility. This was not a game. The warship could destroy worlds, topple governments, and change the galaxy forever. But with him as its guide, it could also protect, defend, and inspire. He decided it was time to test more than defense. He initiated simulations of battles, learning to coordinate the ship's weapons, shields, and engines. The warship guided him, suggesting strategies, predicting enemy movements, and teaching him how to think like a fleet commander. Even in these exercises, Rylan noticed something extraordinary. The ship adapted not just to his commands, but to his reasoning, his creativity, his human intuition. Machines and alien AI were logical, predictable. But humans were unpredictable, inventive, and bold. And in this partnership, they were stronger together. Then came the real test. A small alien patrol entered the system, scanning for unusual activity. They detected the warship's energy signature and began approaching with caution. Rylan's heart raced. This was no simulation. He had to act. Do we fight? He asked the ship. You choose, the voice replied. I act as you direct, but consider strategy, not fear. Rylan thought quickly. He remembered the scout vessel. He remembered how clever use of perception and deception could achieve results without violence. He instructed the ship to project massive holographic images of a fleet around the warship, making it appear as if an entire armada was guarding the system. The alien patrol slowed, scanning. Sensors detected overwhelming numbers. Unable to take the risk, the patrol withdrew, sending a message back to their command. Rylan exhaled, relief washing over him. The ship pulsed softly, almost like a sigh of satisfaction. You have learned well, it said. Human, your mind is unusual. You see paths others do not. Rylan smiled, feeling a deep sense of accomplishment. We make a good team, he said. Better than I expected. Yes, the ship agreed. Together, we are more than we were alone. Together, we are capable of anything. The weeks continued. Rylan explored the ship's storage, finding ancient artifacts, weapons, and intelligence caches. Each discovery revealed more about the galaxy's history and the warship's potential. Yet the ship never pushed him to use its weapons recklessly. It respected his judgment, learning from his patience and foresight. One night, while reviewing star maps, Rylan realized something profound. The warship was not just a relic of the past. It was a living, thinking force that could shape the future. And humanity, through him, had the unique capacity to guide it responsibly. No alien race could do what he was doing. Humans could combine ingenuity, morality, and courage to wield power wisely. The ship seemed to sense his realization. Yes, it said. You understand, I am powerful, but without choice, without guidance, I am only destruction. With you, I am purpose. With you, we can change the galaxy. Rylan leaned back, staring at the stars through the massive viewport. For the first time in his life, he felt he was part of something greater than himself. He was not just a salvage pilot anymore. He was the partner of a living superweapon, a being of unimaginable power, waiting for the right hand to guide it. He also understood the danger. Other civilizations would eventually discover the warship. They would see it as a weapon to be captured, controlled, or destroyed. Rylan would need to be clever, inventive, and fast. He had to train, learn, and bond even more deeply with the ship. The galaxy was vast, full of threats and full of opportunities, and Rylan was ready. The warship pulsed again, a deep, resonant vibration that filled the corridors. It was alive, aware, and waiting for him. Human, it said softly, almost like a whisper, together we will rise. Rylan smiled. Yes, together we will. For the first time in centuries, the abandoned warship felt alive, not as a weapon but as a partner. And for Rylan, space was no longer a place of solitude and scavenging. It was a place of discovery, adventure, and purpose. The journey had only just begun. Outside, the distant stars sparkled, indifferent to the awakening of a forgotten giant. Inside, however, a bond had formed, between human and machine, that could change the fate of worlds. Rylan looked at the glowing consoles, feeling the pulse of the warship beneath his hands. The future was uncertain, dangerous, and full of challenges. But he was not afraid. He had the warship by his side, and together nothing could stop them. And deep in the silence of space, a giant waited for its human partner to unlock its full potential. Rylan had grown more confident in operating the warship. The vessel responded to him as if it had always known him. Its systems, once dormant for centuries, now pulsed with renewed energy. Sensors scanned nearby space continuously, engines hummed in quiet readiness, and weapon arrays shifted smoothly at his thoughts. Yet Rylan knew that the real test was not learning the ship systems, it was surviving the galaxy itself. He had been monitoring local star systems for activity. Long-range sensors had detected fleets from a nearby empire moving toward his sector. They had likely noticed the warship's activation or intercepted fragments of its signal. He was not afraid, he had the warship's power, but he was cautious. Humans were clever, but caution was as important as bravery. "Ship," he said, standing in the bridge, "we have company." "They are on approach." "I detect them," the voice replied in his mind. "4 vessels, armed, cautious. They sense power they cannot fully understand. You decide our course." Rylan thought quickly. His first instinct was to hide, to flee into the asteroid belt. But hiding would not last forever. The fleets were skilled, and the warship's true power could be revealed only if he learned to use it responsibly. "Let's try something different," he said. "We'll use our brains, not just weapons. Show them something unexpected." The warship pulsed faintly, acknowledging the plan. Rylan activated its holographic systems. Massive projections of a fleet unfolded in space, duplicating the warship's presence across the system. Sensors on the approaching ships detected dozens of enormous warships where there was only one. Rylan smiled. The galaxy often underestimated humans' creativity. The alien ships slowed, scanning and communicating nervously. Rylan guided the warship's movements, projecting energy signatures and false readings, making the fleet believe an overwhelming force had emerged from the asteroids. "They hesitate," Rylan whispered. "Good, now keep them guessing." The warship shifted its position slightly, adjusting sensors and shields. It was a dance of strategy, subtle movements that communicated strength without aggression. The alien fleet tried to detect weak points, sending probes and scanning beams, but every probe encountered false readings. Every sensor was misled. Rylan and the ship were a single mind in action, combining human intuition with superhuman computation. "Human," the ship said softly, "your thinking is unlike any intelligence I have known. You adapt, you improvise." Rylan felt pride swell in his chest. "That's what humans do. We don't just follow rules, we find new ones when needed." The alien fleet eventually withdrew, unsure what force they were facing. Rylan watched them retreat, feeling a thrill of triumph. They had avoided battle, not by brute strength, but by human cleverness and the warship's support. It was a lesson that the galaxy had not yet learned. Humans could think in ways no AI or alien could predict. "Good work," the ship said. "We survived this test. You lead wisely." But the victory was only temporary. The warship's sensors detected more activity in deeper space, signals from larger fleets, scanning for unknown anomalies. Rylan knew that sooner or later he would have to confront them directly. It was only a matter of preparation, skill, and strategy. Over the next days, Rylan continued to explore the ship systems. He discovered weapons he had never imagined, energy cannons capable of destroying massive asteroids, defensive shields that could bend light, and propulsion systems that allowed near-instant acceleration. But the warship taught him restraint. It did not push him to use its full power recklessly. Instead, it guided him in subtle ways, showing him how to balance power with wisdom. Rylan realized that the ship was not only teaching him about combat but about leadership. It was showing him that humanity's strength lay not in aggression alone, but in clever thinking, adaptability, and foresight. One night, while monitoring nearby star lanes, Rylan noticed a distress signal from a small colony world under attack by raiders. The planet's defenses were weak and the alien raiders had far superior technology. Without thinking, Rylan activated the warship's engines and guided it toward the planet. "Do we intervene?" he asked the ship. "You decide," the voice replied. "Your choice is the measure of humanity." Rylan's hands moved quickly over the controls. He did not fire weapons immediately. Instead, he created a diversion, projecting energy patterns that mimicked multiple warships descending from orbit. The raiders hesitated, unsure if they faced a fleet far larger than reality. Then, using precision strikes, he disabled their ships' engines without destroying them, forcing the attackers to retreat. The colony world's inhabitants watched in awe from their planet below. In moments, a single human in a small ship, commanding an abandoned warship of immense power, had saved them. "You see," the warship said, "you understand restraint. You are more than a commander. You are a guide." Rylan smiled, realizing that this was what the ship had waited for, not just a pilot, but a mind capable of using power responsibly. Humans were not merely strong, they were inventive, empathetic, and courageous. Those qualities could turn even a weapon into a protector. The success also drew attention. Long-range scans detected the unusual activity, and soon more fleets were converging. They came from different empires, some seeking to claim the warship, others hoping to destroy it. Ryland's small human mind had to think faster than any alien intelligence. He relied on the ship's guidance, combining tactical brilliance with creativity. He learned to use the warship in new ways. Holographic projections, energy diversions, and environmental manipulation became his tools. In one instance, he redirected a nearby comet to pass through an enemy fleet, forcing them to scatter and allowing him to escape without a fight. In another, he used the ship's shields to create a temporary gravitational anomaly, immobilizing approaching warships just long enough for him to evade detection. Each encounter reinforced a lesson. Humans could succeed where brute force alone would fail. Aliens relied on predictable strategies and overwhelming power, but humans thrived on ingenuity and unpredictability. The warship recognized this, adapting its systems to complement Ryland's thinking. Together, they were learning faster than any fleet could anticipate. Despite the constant threats, Ryland also explored deeper sections of the ship. He discovered libraries of alien knowledge, star charts of forgotten civilizations, and designs for technologies long lost to time. The warship shared memories of its past battles, teaching him lessons about strategy, patience, and planning. Each memory reinforced the bond between them. At the same time, Ryland began improving the ship. He repaired minor damages, optimized systems, and integrated human engineering into the alien design. The warship responded positively, almost as if it appreciated his effort. It was no longer just an ancient weapon. It was evolving, guided by a human mind capable of creativity and moral judgment. Late one cycle, Ryland sat in the command chair, staring at the stars. He reflected on what they had accomplished. They had survived fleets, saved a planet, and begun mastering the ship's incredible power. Yet he knew the greatest challenges were still ahead. Larger fleets would come. Other civilizations would see him as a threat or a prize. And one day the warship's full power would be needed. "You are ready," the ship said softly. "But the galaxy is vast. Others will come. They will test you. They will challenge you. You must be clever. You must be human." Rylan nodded, understanding the weight of the words. He was not just a pilot. He was the representative of humanity in this corner of the galaxy. The warship was the ultimate weapon, but only he could wield it responsibly. It was a test of morality, creativity, and courage, the very traits that set humans apart. He activated the ship's long-range scanners. Thousands of stars stretched before him, countless civilizations moving through space. Some would be allies, some would be enemies. But one thing was clear: humans, guided by ingenuity and boldness, could survive where others might fail. Ryland smiled. "Then let them come," he said. "We will be ready." The warship pulsed beneath him, a living giant waiting for his commands. It had been abandoned for centuries, left to drift through the emptiness of space. But now it had a purpose. It had a guide. It had a human. And together, they would face the galaxy, showing that humanity's strength was not just in firepower, but in creativity, courage, and the ability to think where others could not. As the first approaching fleets became visible on the long-range scanners, Ryland prepared for the next challenge. The warship's voice was calm, confident. "You are ready, human. You are different. Together, we will show the galaxy the power of choice." Ryland's hands rested on the controls, feeling the pulse of the warship through the floor. For the first time, he realized the full scope of their potential. With human ingenuity and the warship's power combined, nothing in the galaxy could predict their next move. And in that moment, a small human in a forgotten corner of space became the center of a story that would echo across stars for centuries. Ryland stood in the massive command chair, the warship alive beneath his hands. Its systems hummed with power, its weapons arrays aligned, and its sensors scanned the vast emptiness of space. For the first time, he felt truly in command, not just of a ship, but of a force capable of shaping the galaxy. Weeks of training, exploration, and small battles had taught him the value of patience, strategy, and restraint. He had faced fleets, saved colonies, and tested the warship's incredible power. Now, the galaxy was taking notice. Reports of a mysterious warship piloted by a human had spread across star systems. Some called it a legend, others called it a threat. Ryland knew the truth: it was neither legend nor mere threat. It was humanity's potential, brought to life in a giant warship that had waited centuries for a human mind to guide it. The first major challenge arrived unexpectedly. Sensors detected an enormous alien armada, far larger than anything Rylan had faced before. Thousands of vessels moved in tight formation, weapons bristling and shields glowing. They were from a coalition of empires that had decided the mysterious, human-controlled warship must be destroyed. Ryland studied the fleet on the holographic display. Their formation was advanced but predictable. Humans could adapt, improvise, and think in ways machines could not. That was his advantage. "Ship," he said, gripping the controls, "this is our first real test. Are you ready?" "I am," the warship replied. "We will face them together. You are the human who guides me. They cannot predict you," Ryland smiled. "Then let's show them what humans can do." The warship shifted, accelerating faster than any ship in the coalition expected. Its engines left faint trails of light that confused sensors, creating illusions of multiple ships moving at once. Ryland manipulated the projections, making it appear as if a massive fleet had emerged from hyperspace. The alien commanders hesitated. Their calculations did not match reality. The first exchange of fire was cautious. The coalition fired missiles and energy blasts at the warship, expecting resistance, but Rylan had learned restraint and precision. The warship's shields absorbed attacks while Rylan redirected energy, creating gravitational distortions that caused missiles to miss or collide with one another. "They cannot match our thinking," Rylan said quietly. "They rely on numbers. We rely on creativity." The warship pulsed beneath him, almost as if proud of its human partner. It fired precise energy beams, not to destroy, but to disable. Key systems on enemy ships were knocked offline without unnecessary casualties. The coalition vessels were confused, struggling to understand how a single ship could evade and neutralize them simultaneously. "You see," the warship said, "human ingenuity is superior. You do not act without thought. You improvise." Rylan grinned. "That's what we do. Humans survive because we think, we adapt, and we do not give up." Over the next hours, Rylan led the warship in a series of daring maneuvers. Using asteroid fields, gravitational anomalies, and precise energy projections, he forced the coalition to retreat again and again. He never fired with full destructive power because he understood the responsibility that came with it. He was proving a point. Humans could wield unimaginable power with wisdom, not just brute force. The warship responded, its systems fully synchronized with his commands. Weapons moved in perfect alignment, shields adjusted automatically to predicted threats, and sensors scanned faster than any alien fleet could anticipate. Rylan had become more than a pilot. He was a tactician, a guide, and a symbol of human potential. Finally, the coalition commander made a desperate decision. They launched a concentrated strike, aiming directly at the warship's core. Their weapons were faster and stronger than any Rylan had faced. He had only moments to react. "Ship, we must move fast," he said. "Prepare for full evasive maneuvers." The warship pulsed, then accelerated beyond expected limits. Energy fields bent light around it, making it nearly invisible. The concentrated attack passed through empty space where the warship had been moments before. Rylan countered with a tactical strike, disabling the lead vessels of the coalition without harming their crews. The coalition's formation broke apart. Confusion and fear spread among the ranks. In hours, Rylan had turned a seemingly hopeless battle into a demonstration of human brilliance and precision. After the battle, Rylan floated in the command chair, looking at the stars. The warship pulsed gently, as if content. "You were incredible," the ship said. "Your decisions were precise, your creativity unmatched. Humans are remarkable." Rylan nodded slowly. "We didn't just win because of power. We won because we think, we plan, and we act wisely. That's the human way." In the following weeks, Rylan used the warship to bring stability to regions plagued by warlords and pirates. He negotiated ceasefires, protected colonies, and restored peace to systems that had been abandoned. The galaxy began to take notice. Humans were no longer seen as weak or insignificant. They were seen as clever, resourceful, and capable of guiding immense power responsibly. The warship, once abandoned and forgotten, had become a symbol of humanity's potential. Its massive presence inspired hope among allies and fear among tyrants. Rylan had not just mastered the ship, he had shown that humans could rise above their limitations and lead. One day, as he reviewed star charts, the warship spoke softly. "Human, the galaxy is vast. Others will challenge us. They may not understand humans, but we are ready." Rylan smiled. "Yes, and we will show them, not with fear, but with skill, wisdom, and courage. That's how humans survive and thrive." He activated the ship's engines and moved toward a cluster of systems in need of protection. Every planet, every colony, and every fleet he encountered witnessed the union of human ingenuity and the warship's immense power. And everywhere they went, humans gained respect, not through aggression but through cleverness, strategy, and empathy. The warship pulsed as if agreeing. "Together, we are more than power. We are hope." Rylan's heart swelled with pride. He thought of how far they had come, from a lonely human salvage pilot to the master of a living superweapon. He had not only discovered the ship, he had awakened it, guided it, and turned it into a force for good. Long-range sensors picked up fleets moving to challenge him, but Rylan did not fear them. The galaxy was full of threats, Yet he knew humans could face them. Humans could think, adapt, and create solutions no machine or alien could predict. And with the warship by his side, he could protect countless lives while demonstrating the strength of human ingenuity. "Ship," he said, "let's continue. There are worlds to protect, empires to show, and lessons to teach. Humans are here and they are not weak." The warship pulsed brighter, its massive hull gleaming with energy. "Yes, together, human, we will rise. The galaxy will know humanity's strength." And so, Rylan and the warship moved through the stars not as conquerors, but as symbols of hope and ingenuity. The galaxy watched in awe as a single human, guided by courage and intelligence, wielded a forgotten superweapon responsibly. Planets once oppressed found protection. Fleets once feared found clever tactics to outsmart their enemies. And everywhere, the same lesson became clear. Humans were not to be underestimated. The abandoned giant warship, once a relic of destruction, had become a living monument to what humans could achieve when creativity, wisdom, and courage were combined. And at its core, guiding every decision, every maneuver, every pulse of energy, was a human mind, a mind capable of turning potential into reality. Rylan leaned back in the command chair, watching distant stars. He thought of how the journey had begun, with a faint signal, curiosity, and a leap of faith. And now the galaxy had changed because humans had dared to rise, not through recklessness, but through ingenuity, strategy, and morality. The warship pulsed softly beneath him, as if whispering a final truth. "Human together, we are unstoppable, not because of weapons, but because of thought, because of courage, because of humanity." Ryland smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of achievement. "Yes," he said quietly, "the galaxy will never forget. Humans are a force to be reckoned with." And in that moment, the abandoned giant warship, once left to drift in the cold darkness of space, became the ultimate symbol of human potential, a living superweapon, guided by wisdom, creativity, and courage. The stars stretched endlessly before them, but Rylan no longer feared the unknown. He had the warship, he had humanity's ingenuity, and together they would shape the galaxy. The story of a human and a forgotten giant warship had begun, and it would echo across the stars for generations.